Welcome back everybody. Today we're going to be going over how to clean and lubricate your Beretta APX pistol. It's going to work for the whole series, whether the full size, the compact, or the subcompact. We have the compact here, and we're going to walk you through it step by step as if this is your first gun. You don't know how to maintain it. We're going to walk you through it, show you how it's done, and at the end you should be good to go. So no more talking, let's get into it. Before I break down the gun, I just want to get into what we're using here in terms of supplies. It's pretty basic stuff. We have a rod. Now, the Beretta APX, I believe, comes with a brush. It's going to serve a similar purpose, but if you guys have any kind of pistol rod, that's what we're going to use here today. We also have these tipped-in polymer picks. These are nice because they don't scratch the finish. Then we have a super tactical old Oral-B toothbrush that you guys see there. And then we're going to be using break-free CLP for the cleaning lubrication process. In today's video, CLP has been used for years and years by the military. There's all kinds of cleaners and lubricants out there. But this one's proven the test of time for sure. I purchased the big bottle and then I just put it in these smaller bottles to make it a little bit more usable when actually cleaning and lubricating a firearm. And then we have some cut up patches of t-shirt there that you guys can see. Now if you want to buy 9mm patches, feel free to do so. You can use cut up t-shirts though as well. Just be sure that you don't make them too big because they can get stuck in the barrel. Now moving on with the actual disassembly process, the first thing we're going to do is drop our magazine by hitting your magazine release button right here. Magazine will come out. Now at this point you're going to push up here on your slide lock, which is ambidextrous, while pulling the slide to the rear, just like so. And we're going to look in there and make sure that there is not a round in the chamber, no magazine. We're good to go. At this point we're going to push this button on the right side of the pistol over while pushing down here on this little lever. So I'm pushing just like so. It can be tight. If it's really tight, oops, don't be surprised. That does tend to be the case. Mine just popped back into place. All right, now kind of holding that down, we're going to let the slide go home. At this point, you have two options. You can push this button right here at the rear to decock the pistol, or you can just pull the trigger to decock it. I generally do that, point in a safe direction, pull the trigger, and your slide will come off. My recoil spring kind of just came out there. That may mean that it wasn't exactly seated correctly, but there you go, that's how it would be. Otherwise, you're going to pull up on your recoil spring, set that off to the side, pull up on your barrel and back, and your pistol is disassembled. The first thing I'm going to take a look at is going to be the barrel. So I'm going to spray some CLP on a piece of t-shirt here. We're going to push it through the barrel. Now, one thing about CLP is that it breaks down carbon continuously. So if you push it through the barrel, it will work on that carbon throughout the rest of the time that we're actually cleaning the pistol. So I'll put a little bit here on the outside as well. We're going to just work it all around with our hands, let that carbon start breaking down, and I'm also going to use the brush to really help accelerate that process. And we want to make sure that we're getting into those barrel lugs there, make sure those are nice and clean because they tend to be a place where carbon likes to build up. The same thing here on that feed ramp. You can see it's starting to shine a little bit. Before that it was nice and black, so we're going to set that off to the side and move on to the slide. With our slide, the thing that you want to be mindful of is not putting oil down here in this striker channel. Some can get in there inadvertently, but you don't want to put excess in there, so you kind of want to orient your slide down while you do this. We're going to put a spray of CLP back there and one up front, and we're just going to work it around. Also going to pay special attention here to the breech face there on the pistol. That is this portion right here. And then also, if my camera will focus, we're going to pay attention to this extractor, which is this piece right here. You're going to want to make sure that part's clean and free of carbon, because that's what locks into the casing and pulls the casing out after you fire each shot. Again, we're just kind of working the CLP around now, let it do its magic, and we're going to move on to the frame. I'm sure many of you know who own this pistol that this is a modular frame, so you can actually pull the actual assembly out and really get in there and clean it. However, there's no need to do that for basic maintenance. We're just going to spray a little bit up here in the front and back there on the rear, and just do the same thing we did earlier. Make sure that we work that CLP around, paying particular attention here to the rails, because those are of course a contact point during the operation of the pistol, and just kind of work our way back around here. Now when we go to clean it, we're going to try to get some of that CLP out of the actual mag well, but for now it's just fine breaking down that carbon. For the recoil spring, we're just going to again hit it with a little bit of CLP or whatever cleaner you prefer. Loosen up all the carbon that's on there. work it around, and that's pretty much it. Ever since we applied the CLP to the barrel, it's been breaking down the carbon. Now we're just going to wipe it off. Again, you can use clean patches, you can use paper towels, whatever you want to wipe it off. The barrels on these guns is nitrided, so it's very easy to clean these up. So they wipe clean pretty darn easy. Now we're going to run another patch through the barrel there. Now some folks like to keep doing that until their barrel, or rather until the patch comes out completely clean. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to do that, you can feel free to do so. I personally run a couple patches through until it's clean enough for me. So probably something like that I'm perfectly okay with, and we're going to set the barrel aside and call it clean. Just like with the barrel, we're going to start wiping up the excess CLP, anything that we can reach with our hand. We're going to wipe it up. You guys can see all that carbon fouling is coming out there. And now these tipped in polymer picks really come into play here when working on the slide rails. It allows you to get up into those rails because, again, those are contact surfaces during the operation of the firing sequence. So you definitely want to make sure those are clean and free of any debris or anything like that. Anything you can get down into with your pick, feel free to do so. I would advise you, though, don't kind of go hunting with the pick, if that makes sense. So if you can't easily get in there, don't worry about it. It's not a huge deal for your general cleaning lubrication for your pistol. And again, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to want to make sure that we get up under that extractor right there. So all you need to do is take your cloth and your pick and kind of work under there and clean out that area where the extractor there is mating up with the pistol, and that is that stuff right there that you guys can see. It definitely gets dirty up in there, so we want to make sure that's clean and that extractor has a good hold on the cases as it's pulling them out. On the frame, we're going to do the same thing, basically just kind of wipe up any excess CLP that we can see. And the beauty of CLP is, well, there's a lot of beauties of CLP, but one of them is that it is a lubricant as well. So even if it's in most places on your pistol, it's not a bad thing. There's one place, though, that you generally don't want lubricant. Well, really two, I guess. The firing pin channel that we already talked about there with the striker, and then here in your mag well. So we want to try to get all of the CLP out of your mag well. It's not going to, a little bit of oil in there is not going to hurt anything, but it doesn't need to be there. So we're just going to take it out and make sure we get all that out of there before we get on with the lubrication process. I'm going to make sure again that we pay special attention here on these rails. Lastly, we're just going to wipe up all the excess CLP that's on our recoil spring and guide rod here. You can see there's definitely some on there, some carbon coming off, and that's pretty much it. Now we're going to move on to lubrication. As you continue to put more and more rounds through your pistol, you're going to notice a bunch of wear marks. You can see some starting out here on the barrel. So basically for the barrel, I just put some CLP on there, work a thin coat all the way around because, again, that is going to wear against the slide as the action cycles. Inside the slide here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a drop right here because, again, that really is where this barrel hood is going to interface. And also, I'll throw a drop there too because it's not going to hurt anything. We're going to put that barrel in just like so. We put a drop here on our recoil guide assembly and push that in and make sure we click it down into place when we reassemble it, just like so. Now you have a couple options here in terms of lubricating. You can either lubricate here on the rails or inside the slide. So to do it inside the slide, a needle bottle like this is very helpful. Again, all the links to this stuff should be down in the video description. And we're just going to kind of put it a couple drops down in there. You can see that we have some wear happening right here. Put a little bit of oil on there as well. And really at that point, that's pretty much it. Some people can kind of double down if you want to on our rails here. It's not necessary. You can do really one or the other. And we're just going to push this down, make sure it's in the 90-degree position like so. And at this point, we're going to put our slide on the rails, run it back to the rear. We're going to push up here on our slide lock. And there you go. It actually went back into place. If it doesn't do that, though, just rotate the lever up with it back, send it home. At this point, we're just going to point in a safe direction, pull the trigger, run the action, make sure it resets. It does, and our pistol is cleaned and lubricated at that point, so it's ready to go back in the safe or back out to the range in your holster, whatever the case may be. If you guys have any questions about the process or anything like that, you can always post down below in the comment section. Hopefully this helps some folks out. It's a good pistol if this is your first one. Get out there and keep shooting it and maintain it, and it'll last you a long time. If you guys are new to the channel and aren't subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you guys like deals and all of those types of things on accessories, guns, and everything else that you can imagine, check out my Facebook page where I post a lot of deals and stuff like that. But thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I hope to see all of you in the next video.